My people, how are they? Wetin I want to talk about today na our place for research and how our people dey japa. Welcome to my podcast. I'm Uchendu Eugene Chibu, and this is the Outbox. I want to start today by encouraging everyone who's watching to please tap down, subscribe, like, and most importantly, if there's anything I'm saying that you like or you do not like, feel free to comment. So today's topic is about Niger. Niger people make una no vex how they drink my coffee. Wetin me I want to be say now una get today. This moment now una own. All I want talk now where we dey when it come to research. So, but I also want everyone here to really focus and enjoy the moment. It's not a debate, or maybe it is, or maybe it's not. All jokes aside, all I want to talk about today is why the very strong outward push factor in Nigeria when it comes to academia. Every lecturer wants to leave. And don't get it twisted, I'm also not in Nigeria. So in a way, someone could say, well, he left. But I don't think that has anything to do with the fact that we still need to have the conversation. The conversation around the research ranking of Nigeria in Africa. The conversation around the status of research in Nigeria. Obviously, in Africa, we all have more commonalities than differences, on these same issues. And someone could say, why is he not talking about Namibia? After all, he's in Namibia. Why is he not talking about Ghana? Why is he not talking about Egypt, Kenya, South Africa, Mozambique, Angola? There are many places I could talk about, but I'm Nigerian. And the reason I chose to use Nigeria, for example, is just simple. At least, I hope Nigerians will understand. If I talked about South Africa, maybe South Africans would say, oh, you know nothing about South Africa, you're Nigerian. Maybe you are biased. Maybe you should go talk about your own country. So, I have to talk about my own country. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like what I say. But live and let live. You also don't have to, kill me for it. By the way, that's another joke. There's nothing really bad to discuss here. The issue here is why Nigerians they japa academically. Japa gets category. Japa even get ranking. Economic japa. Oh, in case you're not Nigerian, japa means immigration. Our people, we love to love other places more than our own country. Oh, that's another joke again. So, why do we japa too much? Again, academically, there are different kinds of japa. There are japa to become nurse in US, in UK, in South Africa, in Ghana, in other places. You have japa to go and teach in other universities and all that. An example of an object of japa, because as I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking from another country. So take that to be my icebreaker. But the truth of the matter is that the research ranking of Africa in general as a continent is considered to not be so good in comparison to other parts of the world. We don't know how good and how not so good it is, or how bad it is. That's something we'll check out later. I've got my computer on here, and I hope that we'll look at one of the best places to check these rankings in order to identify how good we are or how not so good that we are. First and foremost, Africa. And then afterwards, I will delve into Nigeria. And then we have that discussion about Nigeria, whether Nigeria is so bad in, or Nigerian academics are so bad in research that that we're not doing great, or we are not so bad in research, but our environment, the Nigerian academic environment, is so bad that the environment cannot even accommodate good researchers, and therefore all we do is queue up at embassies on the way out. So thank you everyone, and I hope that this particular episode will be understood with the good heart which I have prepared it. And that said, the first question is, what is the research ranking of Africa in the Committee of Continents? To answer that question, I would like to use my main methodology for this discussion would be the use of SciMago, which is a website that is dedicated to the ranking of nations in terms of research as well as journals. Let's just use this as a common metrics to get a view of the research profile of Africa, the research profile of subjects that we do, the research profile, finally, of Nigeria, and then see what discussion can come out of it. So, first I go to SciMago. Now that I'm on the screen, you find that what you see is what is SciMago, journal ranking for. There are three categories. Is the journal ranking, is the country ranks, is the Viz tools. The Viz tools reflects the visualization tools which you can use to get a visual impression of positions and the character of these ranks. The journal ranking ranks the best journals, and the country rankings would give you the regional rankings in terms of Asia, Africa, and then most importantly country rankings in terms of national rankings within the frame of research productivity. And so if I type in, let's go to country ranking, let's explore. When I go to country ranking, you would see that currently, during the year, between the year 1996, or from the year 1996 to 2024, the highest ranked country in terms of scientific production is the United States, with 16 million 963,549 documents. These documents have been cited a number of times by a number of documents. It also shows the number of times it's been cited. It also shows the number of self-citations done. And then the citation per document, for instance, is 33.26. And the H-index The H index of the United States is 3,213. This is followed by China. Oh, is that? It all makes sense now. Why China and the US are always in competition. So it's followed by China with 11,684,858. And you would see the citable documents, the citations, the self-citations, and the citation pay documents, and the H index. Then followed by the followed by United Kingdom, then Germany, Japan, India. A shout out to my Indian brothers and sisters. You're doing great. India is number 6 in the world. Behind India is France, France, Italy, Canada, Australia, Spain, then Russia. The Russians must be doing pretty well, because considering that most of the Russians also do not write in English compared to other countries. Yeah, that's great. South Africa, Brazil. Oh, shout out to all Brazilian brothers and sisters over there. You academics are doing great. Number 14 in the world. Considering that most of the countries that are on top have most of the writing infrastructure and the foundation and the funding, I consider Brazil to be doing really, really great. The Netherlands, Switzerland, Poland is number 17. Poland is doing really well considering its position in Europe. I think Poland is doing great. But Turkey, number 18 in the world. Shout out to all Turkish brothers and sisters. You are doing great. Hold on. Number 19 is Iran. Man. My heart goes to all Iranians for their performance. To be number 19 in the world is no joke. Then Sweden, Taiwan. Well, Taiwan is doing great. Belgium. In all of these rankings, there are people we expect to do great. I mean, we expect United States to do well. China, they have to. Actually, it's a shame. Should be a shame for United Kingdom and the rest that China is way ahead of them. But the Chinese scholars, we all know, are highly dedicated. But, as you would expect, the European countries are also found to be on top. Now, the first African nation to come under this ranking, remember this is the global ranking, is number 34. South Africa. To you all. Making Africa proud. To be number 34 in the world is really, really, great. Okay, behind South Africa is great. Singapore, followed by Singapore, Indonesia. Indonesia is doing great. Egypt is number 38. This is perfect. Africa is being well represented. Oh, and hold on. I don't even want some of you out there to say, oh, he's rejoicing for Africa for being number 34, number 38 in a global ranking. I think that is great, considering that Africans have always been subjugated, even in terms of knowledge, in terms of the evolution of knowledge. When did we even have proper infrastructure for this sort of, competence in education and all that? In Western education, forgive me. So if Africa is doing great, number 34 in the world, that's South Africa, followed by Egypt, number 38 in the world, where there are almost 200 countries. Man, that means Africans are doing great in Western education, competing against Western countries in their education, alongside others. Now you understand, that's what I mean. If Africans can rank high in their productivity Western education, I think that is commendable. And for me, number 34, South Africa is great, followed by Egypt, number 38. Okay, I'm not going to bother you too much, but I want to check to see which other countries that come with. Oh, Niger people, they will not they 49. Nigeria is number 49. So why all of that they wrong commodities? Where not the wrong go? Because me I know say even for South Africa, Niger people still they write the paper for South Africa. Even for Egypt, they still they contribute just a little. But South Africa, that one, we know say that they contribute well. And then after Niger people don't contribute for all these other countries, even for USA, Niger contributes. United Kingdom, Niger people contribute. Germany, Niger people still contribute for all those rankings we want to see on top there. They still, after they don't go distribute their knowledge, distribute their hearts, distribute their time to all these countries, they still end up number 49. Oh, for those of you who do not understand my language, that was pidgin. It's one of the most spoken languages in Africa. Spoken in Nigeria, in Ghana, a little bit of it in the Gambia, in the English-speaking areas, very much in Liberia, in Sierra Leone. So we're talking about a language spoken by, should I do the calculation? I don't think it's necessary because Nigeria is already 300 million. So when you add the other ones up, you realize that this is a language that is spoken by nearly 350 million people. So it's a major language. The German language, I don't think is spoken by up to or more than 100 million people. If I'm wrong or right, it's probably by a difference of, 1 million or 2. So enjoy this podcast, but please do give me the privilege and the chance and the opportunity as well as the joy of, breaking away from the so-called normal English to what is our own English, which is the pidgin. So Niger people, when they try. So Nigeria is number 49. So 34 South Africa, 38 Egypt, 49 Nigeria. Those are African countries. Now, I'm still looking for African countries. Keep watching my screen if you can. Morocco, 58. Algeria, 59. Shout out to all Northern African countries. You're well represented with Egypt on top. Then Morocco, Algeria. Ethiopia. The country in Africa that is so original that it has its own language, it has its own time, it has its own year, it has its system of everything, starting from religion, all sort of cultures, that the only country, if you allow me to say that, is it the only one? Okay, let's just say it's the only one. But for those of you who think it's not, please, like I said before, give me the room. The only country in Africa that still has originality in terms of the language it speaks, Amharic, its calendar, its religion, it's almost everything. Ethiopia tries to still stick to its originality. And obviously that's the capital of Africa. Ethiopia is number 64. I don't know if I'm making any sense here, because for an average Ethiopian who has to learn in Amharic, become an academic, yes, I know they also do learn English, but would you imagine what it's like? The English do not have to learn any other language. They just need to learn English and speak English and write English and publish English. Many of these African countries have to learn in 2-3 different languages. that are not English, and then they still have to be competitive in the world we live in. They have to write in English, to be taught in English first and foremost, write in English, publish in English, generally do research in English. I think it's amazing. Ethiopia is number 64. Then, number 67, Kenya. My heart to all Kenya brothers and sisters, all academics over there, you're doing great. And it's not any different from the other countries that I've mentioned. Egypt has to deal with Arabic. Kenya, they also have to deal with Kiswahili. And I don't need to speak about Nigeria. I mean, you don't hear me here, they talk English backwards. So when they speak Pidgin, they talk English backwards, and you still come think for Pidgin, then write for English, then come publish for the English, come they take number waiting. My brother, hands up to all Africans. So that's it. The point, all I've been trying to say is, it's not an easy job to be an African. I don't care what anybody wants to say about that. I've lived it, I'm still living it. But we are not victims. All I'm trying to say is just, I'm trying to project the joy that within the committee of publication or publishing countries in the world, that African countries aren't doing badly. And let's just check how many countries we are being benchmarked against. On the CIMEGO, there are how many countries ranked? Oh my God. I was talking about 200 countries in the world. It's 243 in the entire world that are being ranked here, and African countries are coming in number 49 and 34 and 38. I find that to be amazing. But don't get carried away by my own joy, because I don't intend to let my own joy carry me away. So back to the topic. So Nigerians in the Committee of the World not only contribute to other countries' publication records, outputs, but they still have to compete and turn out not very badly at number 49. So looking at the screen, that is looking at publication from the perspective of, from the categories of regions, which deals with countries. But we can also look at it, from the perspective of countries. We can also look at it from the regional perspective, where we simply look at the ranking in Africa. And okay, if you're watching my screen, let me go back. So what I'm doing here is I've gone to regions, and I click on Africa. So now it will give me the hits on only African countries. And as you would see from the rankings, from the global perspective, South Africa is ranked number 1, Egypt is ranked number 2, Nigeria is ranked number 3, followed by Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria, Ethiopia, Kenya, Ghana. Oh, I forgot to mention, Ghana must be doing great, because Ghana is right behind Kenya as number 9 in Africa. I didn't quite look at the ranking in the world, but there's no doubt, as far as I know, from collaboration and the work we do, that the Ghanaians and the Nigerians, the Kenyans always, Ethiopians and they always stand together in terms of publication. But I know that there's seems to be more collaboration between Nigerians and Ghanaians, probably in more than with Egypt and so on and so forth. But I just want to give a shout out to Ghana, Uganda, Tanzania, and Cameroon. I mean, you'll see Cameroon is number 12, but we're talking about a country whose primary language is actually French, or if you like, you say it's bilingual, English and French. So for them to be coming up with high publications, it's not a small feat. So my hat goes to everyone. And in Africa, it's ranked up to 59 countries. You might be wondering, if there are 54 countries, why is the ranking hitting up to 59? Obviously, that's because there are other island nations that, when it comes to these rankings, are within Africa, and we consider them to be countries within the frame of academia. Even though some of them, like as you will see, the British Indian Ocean Territory and all that territory, St. Helena and all that, politically have been taken by European countries, but academically, these are us because they are in Africa. And so that's why we have 59 countries in Africa, academically, at least based on this ranking. And in that ranking, Nigeria, which is the focal point of my current discussion, is number 3. And obviously, these rankings, African rankings, change year to year. So you would see that the rankings that I produced, as you're looking on the screen, are for 1996 to 2024. If you click on the year, you would see that it is possible to look at the rankings per year. And if we look at the ranking in 2024, which is what I'm doing here, I click 2024, you find that Egypt is number 1, followed by South Africa, followed by Nigeria, followed by Morocco. If we look at the rankings in 2023, you find that Egypt is number 1, South Africa number 2, Nigeria followed by Morocco. They seem to be following that sequence. If we look at it in 2022, you find that Egypt is number 1, South Africa number 2, Nigeria number 3, Morocco number 4. Those 3, 4 seem to be following the same trend. 2021, you find Egypt number 1. It's changed. In 2021, Egypt was number 1, and South Africa was number 2, and Nigeria number 3. Morocco followed again by Algeria. So now let's just pick a year at random, so that let's go to the very first year when they started the ranking, which was 1996. You see, South Africa is number 1, Egypt number 2, Nigeria number 3. 1997, South Africa number 1, Egypt number 2, Nigeria number 3. Let's pick again at random. Let's say 2000, South Africa number 1, Egypt number 2, Nigeria number 3. Let's again pick at random any other year, 2020, 2003. South Africa number 1, Egypt number 2, Nigeria number 3. Can we just stop this South Africa number 1, Egypt number 2, Nigeria number 3? That just tells you that the top 3 in Africa is taken. When you go through this, what you're going to see is there have been slight differences when maybe a year or 2 or 3 where Egypt moved up, South Africa came down to 2. Nigeria kept maintaining its number 3. Sometimes Nigeria made 2, but not many times, and dropped to number 3. And of course, there seemed to be high level of consistency at the top 5. Whereas if you go to the middle positions, or rather after the 10th position, you will see that there will be radical changes. Oh, did I forget my country again? Namibia. So let's check in Africa, for instance, the position of Namibia, 1996 to 2024. Namibia is number 25 in Africa. Now I have to clap for Namibia, to get independence in 1990 and be competing with all these countries that were already published in 1950s is not easy. So my hands go up, to Namibians. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that the top 3, the top 5, the top 6, almost the top 10 are taken. I don't want to, if I go down the top 10, you would see that Uganda is number 10, Ghana is number 9, Kenya is number 8, Ethiopia number 7, Algeria 6, Morocco 5, Tunisia 4, and then Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa again. And what I'm trying to say is that there seem to be much changes between those positions from 5 to 10. There are changes in terms of movements, top and down movement, but still all of those countries seem to be within the top 10, which also means top 10 are taken. So it's an African affair. We have to give credit to the countries that are involved in this, all African countries, because like I said, these are African countries competing with Western nations on Western education. They are not competing with them on African education. So for them to be competitive even on Western education coming from the global South in itself, we need to give them credit. So to Nigeria, Nigeria is always number 3, few times been number 4 and number 2, but the number 3 position, it seems, is reserved Nigeria. You now ask yourself, and then even within Africa, you would also see that Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians are in South Africa, also in Namibia. I think few in Kenya. You know, look, give it to us, we move. Just give us that one. You know, we are very mobile, you know. So, but the point I'm trying to make is negative or positive, doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make is that that despite Nigeria finding itself in 3rd position in Africa or 49 in the world, you still find that Nigerians are contributing to even those other countries that are much more ahead of them in terms of productivity. But then the question is then, why is it that we Nigerians, the moment we sit and talk about academics, the first thing we want to let everybody know is how damaged our academic system is. How damaged, how terrible the university in Nigeria is or has become. Which one should I use? Is or has become? I'm actually confused because ever since I was born, my mother, all she keeps telling me is that things are getting worse, things are getting worse, things are getting worse. I kept from my mother, I started hearing my teachers, things are getting worse. From the teachers, I started listening to radio and getting to read newspapers, things are getting worse. And things have been getting worse, getting worse, getting worse till where we are today. It's never been getting better. So which means that if this is true and things were to even get better, we'll probably be on top somewhere. So what is wrong with university research in Nigeria? Because that number 3 that I look at, I know that number 3, you know, it can be 2 and it can be 1, you know. But when you're number 30, that's when you wish it was 20. When you're number 20, you wish it was 10. And when you're number 10, you'll be like, I wish they should have called me up the podium. Because number 3 normally gets up the podium. So that number 3, once again, if people allow me say it the way we normally say it, that number 3 no be like something where person suppose they run from. When you come check say, nah, how many countries will they see here? 59, number 3 no be like something where we suppose they match with our leg, they cost every time. Or maybe some of us don't even know. Say Nigerian are number 3. Oh, back again. What I was saying is that number 3, having taken the 3rd position, is not a curse. But then I remember it's normal in a Nigerian family. When you come back home with position number 2, even if your mother is busy, you know, cooking jollof rice, and you come and she sees your position number 2, the first thing she would say is like, so what happened to number 1? I mean, this is not a Nigerian thing. If you go to Ghana, you know, it's the same. The day you get number one, sorry, I'm one of those that we're not getting number one. So I'll leave this topic for those that get number one. But I know that I did have a sister that would get number one. The day they take the first position, they will tell them, you've tried. What sort of thing is that? You're number one. Mama and Papa will say you've tried. That means you've tried means you have to keep it up. So the point I'm trying to make is, I know that I'm probably being too eulogic about Nigeria's number 3 position, but I know to an average Nigerian, 3 can be enough when you have 2, and 2 can be enough when you have 1. But that still brings me to the matter. Out of 59 countries, the country that Nigerians, and when I say Nigerians, I mean Nigerian academics, the country that every mama and papa, if you call them now in Nigeria, they will tell you this country is spoiled. It's number 3 in Africa, number 49 in the world. Doesn't look that bad to me. I don't know what you all are trying to say, but this does not look as bad as some of us try to paint it. Why? I'm talking about output. So why are we running from the country? I know someone will be wondering, well, you're not in Nigeria, why did you leave? Oh, let me just tell you this. I finished university in Nigeria, first my bachelor's, and I went to study master's. To be honest, I saw myself as someone going to study. That's it. Maybe I'm probably at least not dying because I'm not so rich, because for me that was never the objective. It was to go and study. I studied. And then when I started thinking about money, that's when I can't jump enter wahala. I got into trouble the moment I finished studying in the UK and started thinking about money. Because then you become restless. You're trying to work every day. Ideas coming into your mind because you can't study forever. So, what I'm trying to say here is this. There are reasons why people leave the country. For me, it was more of a reason why not to come back to the country than a reason to leave the country. For me, it was pretty easy. I mean, it was easy because I wasn't the one that spent the money for me to leave, right? So, it was more that I needed to go and study to get experience outside Nigeria, because it was becoming a global world. And like I mentioned in some of my previous episodes, there's a family aspect to it. Even by then, my brother who spent the money for me to study had always been like, it would be good to study abroad, and it's a global world. Maybe you can learn more, get to know more, and be competitive in the international market. And thank you, brother. I think in a way I can say that worked, because I studied in the UK, studied in Germany, worked in the UK, worked in Germany, and probably that gave me the confidence to say I'd rather prefer to come and work in Namibia than to be pursuing to go and work in the US or, these places. So the point I'm trying to make is, it's not everybody that is outside Nigeria that left Nigeria because the education system was terrible. And I'm not trying to say the education system isn't terrible, it's up to people. But when I studied in Nigeria, I felt it was just too tough there. It was just, they're just trying to make you suffer. That's the way I felt as a student, right? Which is different from saying it wasn't good. it's not any different as well. When I was being brought up, I also felt that my family were making me suffer. You know, that's not to say they didn't love me, but it's just that they weren't allowing you get your way, get through, you know. And so, but at the end of the day, you look back and you find out that the things you've become in life and things you would become even in the future, you know, they played a role in it. And so that's the way I see the Nigerian education system. I studied in Reading University. If you would like to know, when I finished in Reading University, I actually called for a remark of my grade because I felt something was not right with it. It didn't quite reflect me. I didn't go further with that because I got advised, you know, that it wasn't necessary, that I was, you know, I shouldn't put too much into grades. I went to Birmingham. I ended up in court with University of Birmingham because I stopped paying my tuition fee and they took me to court, and I went to court and I told the judge the reason I wasn't paying my tuition fee is because everything I learned in Nigeria is what they are still teaching me in the UK. And they just said, look, you're gonna have to pay. And I tried as much as I could and I moved to Germany. It's been constant struggle. It was in Europe. I got to Germany. I managed, it was a struggle as well. I managed to settle down, and by then I had evolved into a more mature person. And perhaps the German academic system helped because, you know, in Germany they still, in most cases, follow this apprenticeship system, which is very traditional. I guess that suited me more, and I tried to bend down to learn. And yeah, but there were challenges. But the point I want to make is that all of those, you know, they contributed to whom I've become. And so I find it difficult. Okay, one thing I didn't mention is that in those universities where I worked, where I studied and worked, resources were not always there. Resources were not always there. You might say, yes, there are more infrastructure, there are more resources, but when you are there, you still realize that the resources right in front of you are not enough for the productivity they want you to deliver. I struggle with those. So, my point is, if Nigerian education system has gone down and continues to go down, and yet, many of these people that I find at Namibia University of Science and Technology, I find at University of Cape Town, University of Witwatersrand, wherever you go, many of these people I find, when you check, their original study was done in Nigeria. Then it begins to make me question the sense, the common sense in that discourse that Nigerian education system is bad. In Reading, I saw Nigerian lecturers. In Germany, I saw Nigerian lecturers. In Namibia, I met Nigerian lecturers. In South Africa, I've met them. I've met them in Kenya. So, there has to be something good about that system. And look, we can have this debate some of that day, but at this point, I can tell you, if the people who are brought up, and this can apply to Kenya, Ethiopia, because perhaps Kenyans say the same thing, that their education system is terrible, and because of that they run to Europe like Nigerians, you know, and do that. I'm using Nigeria as an example because Nigerians, of course, we have population and we seem to dominate in that scramble for better conditions abroad because you have quite a lot of more of us there than others, depending on where you go. But I know the Kenyans are into it, the Ethiopians are into it, the Ugandans are into it. If these people that I find making the news in South Africa, in Europe, studied in Nigeria for their basic education, from primary, secondary to university level, then can we just agree that there is something good about the system? That's all I'm asking for. There has got to be something good about a system that produces an undergraduate who goes to Oxford to set a record. There has to be something good about a system that produces a graduate, who goes to Germany and sets a record or be successful. Can we look for the good in this system and maybe even make it better? Can we also look for the worst that everyone is talking about and make it good? That's all I want to say. The Nigerian academic system, if it is so bad that we all have to run and leave the classroom, my question is, why are we number 3 in Africa? Some people will say, oh, it's your population. Well, the population of US doesn't seem small to me. The population of China doesn't seem small to me. They still publish with Nigerians. Yes, with Nigerians. I have Chinese professors who publish with Nigerian students. There are Nigerian PhD students all over the place. Ghanaian PhD students all over the place. Kenyan PhD students all over the place, whether it's in China, in Europe, or North America. Even in Brazil, they are there. So there has to be something that is very good about the system. I don't know where that thing is. Is it in the university, or is it in the primary school? Is it in the kindergarten, or is it even in the family, or in secondary school? But wherever that thing that makes someone who graduated from a Nigerian university that is considered not to be very good to now arrive in Europe and becomes good, whatever that is in Nigeria, let's identify it, figure it out and make it better. Infrastructure, we are guilty. Even Nigerian politicians can't deny that anymore. Not enough of research funding. So, Mr. President of Nigeria, Madam First Lady, Mr. Vice President, Madam Second Lady, Governor, Minister, please, if Nigeria can be number 3 in Africa and number 49 in the whole world, with the little or no research fund or research support that you give academics, would you imagine how far they can go if they get more support? Give our academic support in Nigeria, and if you do that, japa go end. Because as things dey now, people go japa from that country, say someday classroom go empty, university go empty, nobody, because lecturer dey japa, professor dey japa, student dey japa, even some of our ministers dey japa these days. Abeg, give the Nigerian education system, university education, its support. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that I've spoken quite a lot, and sometimes I have to bring in my local language, and I just want to say something. Nigeria is a complex system, even educationally, because in Nigeria there are a lot of private universities in Nigeria. We have universities that are owned by federal, states. We have different levels of tertiary education, or different categories, if you allow me to put it that way. The universities, the universities of science and technology, the agricultural universities, and health and all that. There's so many of them, but what I've done here is to try to use the SIMAGO as a benchmark to show how far this country has gone. Considering the positions we see here, kudos to Nigerians, kudos to fellow African countries that are doing great. You can't be doing this by competing against the West in their Western education. I mean, I just think it's unbelievable. I don't care what anyone thinks that number 50 and number 100 is not great. I don't mind. I just think that the Africans are a different level in terms of who they have to compete, especially considering that many a times we Africans compete against ourselves. The country of Kenya, as they do produce in Africa, you find that if you go to the US, Kenyan academics are also contributing to the output in the US. Kenyan academics are also contributing to the output in Namibia, output in South Africa, output, all over the place. And so in a way, I think that perhaps if the governments across Africa should do more to improve the university education system, using Nigeria for example, productivity would even be better, collaboration would even be better, and the concept of japa would die in academia. It won't. It will not. Current state of academics demands different kinds of japa. Japa doesn't have to be physical movement. Japa can be mental movement, publication movement. You collaborate with each other, and we need this in Africa. So by japa, what I'm against is a situation where we live and our justification for living is always talking down the country. Let those that want to japa. But please don't come and tell me that the reason you japaed is because the system there is terrible. There are many terrible systems all over the world. And many countries wouldn't mind having Nigeria's terrible system to be number 3 in the world. Many countries wouldn't mind having Nigeria's terrible system to be number 3 in Africa or number 49 in the world. And many countries wouldn't mind having Ghana's terrible system in order to be number 9 in Africa. And so let's build academics, but it starts with all of us academics working together, collaborating, irrespective of where you are. And I would encourage everyone to work hard, whichever country where you're in. I'm in Namibia and I try to work hard from Namibia, and I have an interest to see that while I'm here, my work contributes to pushing Namibia up, the ranks, and I expect everyone is doing that wherever they are. So with that, I'd like to say thank you, and just a moment, finish my coffee. Before you leave, please tap down there, subscribe, comment. This is a highly explosive issue. I would like to get your opinion, and also like. Bye.